Hey, yo, welcome to the WWE Raw review for Monday, December 20th. Raw in Milwaukee tonight. Bianca Belair hitting the KOD on Doudrop. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, did they just become best friends? And Vince McMahon likes to fire people. And chocolate pudding. Let's do it.
Step Brothers. Huh? Step Brothers.
You just become best friends?
Exactly. You got the reference, baby. You got the reference.
Yeah.
Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends?
Yes. Who's your favorite actor? Like the actors?
If you had to have sex with a man, what man would it be?
Yeah.
John Stamos.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it.
Tremendous. I don't know why we didn't do
Hello,
bunk beds.
miss.
I don't know. Hello, Miss Lady.
Yes.
I don't know why we didn't do.
Shut your mouth.
I don't know why we didn't do bunk beds earlier. We got so much room now for activities.
Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
I told you for years to watch that movie Step Brothers, and you never wanted to watch it.
It's a good movie.
And then you finally watched it, and you know it's a classic. It's a classic.
It's an Adam McKay film.
God bless. Tremendous Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly production. I love Step Brothers. And I feel like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens had their own Step Brothers moment tonight. They just became best friends. Out of nowhere. I feel like they were not friends for a while. They were beefing. They were arguing with each other. They were turning on each other. They were blaming each other for everything over the past month or so. And then tonight they decide, yeah, we're friends now. Let's team up. I guess Kevin signed a new contract with WWE, and Seth is like, all right, we're on the same team now. You're not going to AEW. Let's be friends. And then they became friends.
So, I don't know. This feels just like a rehash of the Festival of Friendship storyline of Jericho and Kevin Owens. You know, the beloved storyline that was like, you know, lasted for like 6 months. This feels like a rehash of that with the hugging and the... maybe it's just because it's Kevin Owens, you know? Because Kevin Owens is known for not having friends and not being trustworthy. So seeing him seemingly, sincerely embracing someone, it just reminds me of Chris Jericho.
Yeah, it's hard to believe the Kevin and Seth alliance will last for long. Of course, they have a fatal four-way match for the WWE Championship at day one. So you figure they'll turn on each other pretty soon, right? But I thought it was just strange, given how they've been beefing over the past month, that tonight MVP and Bobby Lashley start off the night with an in-ring promo. MVP talks about Lashley winning 3 matches last week, likening it to winning the marathon and then doing something else.
NBA Finals and then...
a marathon, Boston Marathon, NBA Finals, and then having a 5-round fight with Francis Ngannou and knocking him out, which, you know, Lashley could never hope to do, although good luck to him. So I like the Francis Ngannou name drop there from MVP. Keep name dropping Ngannou. Don't forget, Dave told you first, Cyril Gann's going to piece him up. Cyril Gann's got that fight easy peasy. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that next big UFC pay-per-view. Dave always gives you the big picks. I gave you Juliana Pena. And if I'm talking about a pick on the wrestling show, you know I'm real confident. Real confident in the bad man, Le Bon Gamin, Cyril Gann, to beat Francis Ngannou. And I know that Cyril, our buddy, is like maybe a slight underdog, if not even money right now. I think that's ridiculous value for Cyril Gann. He's going to beat Francis Ngannou. That's a Dave Simon guarantee.
Yeah, it's a sleeper pick, and he'll put Ngannou to sleep.
He may not. I think he may just win a decision, which is fine.
But still win.
He'll win. No matter what, he'll
Still
win,
sleeper.
and then we'll win some money off his victory, and we'll keep cashing it in, like we did this past weekend on Derek Lewis by knockout, cashing it in every weekend. I'm pissed off that there's no UFC now until like mid-January because they can't make money off gambling. And I've been making, like every Saturday night in December, I've been making money off gambling. So I've been a little disappointed now. No UFC on Saturday. Something like Christmas or something. I don't know.
That's an unfortunate circumstance of...
Come on, Dana. Forget about
life.
Christmas, baby. Give me some UFC on Saturday night.
Oh, it's a Christmas thing. It's not a COVID thing.
Oh, because it's Christmas Day.
Because a lot of things are getting pushed back to mid-January due to COVID. So.
No. Dana White
UFC,
pushes. They don't push anything back because of COVID.
Yeah.
All right, COVID doesn't exist in the UFC, and that's how I like it. I choose to ignore COVID as well. I don't want to know anything about it. We're not going to talk about it, even though everything's gone terribly wrong here in the province of Quebec. Things are bad. Everything got shut down. WWE was supposed to come here next week. Next Thursday, we were supposed to go to a WWE show. Probably not, because today the whole province were like, nah, no more concerts, no more bars are all shut down, gyms are all shut down, certainly no wrestling shows
Movie
in front
theaters.
of 10,000 people. Movie theaters are all shut down. Like, you can't go anywhere anymore in the province of Quebec. And I think it was indefinite, right? Did they give a timeline on how long it's going to last?
I want to say mid-January reevaluation.
Yeah, well, they reevaluate and they shut us down even further because I don't know. Anyways, it's not good here in the province of Quebec. I'm not having a lot of fun. I got to say, haven't been in the best of moods over the past couple of weeks with all these shutdowns. I was pretty damn excited to take my son to his first ever WWE show. He was pretty excited too. We're going to see Becky Lynch. We're going to see Big E. We're going to see Kevin Owens. But now we're not going to see anybody because old Frankie Legos shut down the whole party. Thanks a lot. Real fun. Real fun times around here.
Happy New Year.
It really pisses me off to see a packed crowd in Milwaukee for Monday Night Raw. Meanwhile, we're sitting here and there's like, yeah, you can't even go to a gym. Are restaurants open? They're keeping restaurants
50%.
open, right? The picking and choosing of what you choose to allow open and what you don't is baffling to me, but I don't want to talk about Francois Legault because I could go on and on about how he likes to kiss his sister and who knows what else he likes to do with his sister and how the weed stores in Quebec are the worst in the country and how, you know, he promotes the white supremacist ideals and laws in this province.
Our
and
roads suck.
Our roads suck, but our roads always suck.
But we
don't
pay so much in taxes.
Yeah, well, Quebec always is high tax and the roads are always bad, but we don't always have a guy who promotes racist ideas and denies systemic racism. Like, he's kind of a piece
Not
of
openly.
trash. He's a piece of trash, man, and I have no love for him. Also, he kisses his sister before he kisses his wife. You know, New Year's Eve, old Frankie Legos is going to be giving a big smook on the lips to his sister, big mwah, 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 because that's what he likes. I don't like that. I'm not taking any advice from any man who kisses his sister on the face. I mean, maybe the cheek, but not the lips, baby. All right, shout out to Angelo Contagonis. I know he's struggling here in the province of Quebec, just like we all are. Doug Hepburn, shout out to Doug out in Kingston, Ontario, which from what Doug tells me is like the capital of COVID in Canada right now. So hopefully Doug and Nick and the whole Hepburn family staying safe out there. Shout out to Lauren in Côte St. Luc. Silent by Deadly, I don't know where you're watching from. He's wondering about what's going on here and how come we got lockdowns. And, yeah. Shout out to Derek McHart. We're doing all right, Derek. I mean, we're surviving.
I get in there, you know.
We're surviving. I don't have COVID, so that's good. Seems like everybody's coming down with the old vid these days. Ah, boy. You know who doesn't have COVID? Seth Rollins. MVP is in the ring talking about Bobby Lashley and how impressive he is, and he says everyone must acknowledge. Notice he really put emphasis on the word acknowledge. That we are living in the almighty era. Of course, that word acknowledge is owned and copywritten by the big dog, the paper champion, Roman Reigns. Big E comes out, talks about MVP hitting him with his cane last week and Lashley not having the cojones, this means balls, to face him alone in the ring. And Bobby says, no, that was MVP acting alone. I didn't tell him to hit you with the cane. I'm not scared of you, Big E. I'm Bobby Lashley, and I'm very scary myself. And he says, in fact, MVP, why don't you take on Big E right now by yourself? So Lashley rolls out of the ring, and MVP and Big E kind of square off. MVP has his cane, threatens to hit Big E with the cane. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens then show up together, as though they have spoken before the show and made a plan together. Did that not seem strange to you,
Very
given their
strange.
relationship over the past few weeks?
Yeah, they seem to be the ones who are butting heads the most out of all these guys.
Right. And then all of a sudden they get it together and they're like good friends.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what's the basis of that. Are we like it's hard to tell. Is it some kind of sophisticated thing where like we assume they hashed it out and are on the same page, or did the writing staff / Vince just forget and be like, this week Kevin and Seth, attack in unison because that's what we need from them?
They wanted to do a tag team match and they needed to figure out a way to do it, so they just put Kevin and Seth together and they're like, yeah,
And
let's get Lashley because why? And then they don't jump Big E. It would make more sense, since they're all heels, for Seth and Kevin to jump in the ring to help MVP beat up Big E, and then Bobby could come in and either attack Seth and Kevin and kind of set up the tag team match that way.
it's so
But for
strange.
Seth and Kevin to come out and just attack Bobby, a fellow heel, it didn't make a ton of sense, and it was just odd given that they have been opposing each other, butting heads, like you
It
said,
was a
for the
very
past several weeks now.
Very strange night of Raw. Like, if you hadn't watched any Raw, if you were totally like without any of the context, you would think Bobby Lashley was like the baby face going for the title. Like, that opening promo was talking about all the adversity he overcame to get for his title opportunity. And then he gets like piled on tonight. And then in the tag team match main event, to go ahead a bit, he was taking all the heat.
Yeah, he was getting beat up by the bad guys there, Kevin and Seth. It didn't make a lot of sense. Big E even tried to attack, like, as Seth and Kevin jump Bobby Lashley outside the ring. Big E has to deal with MVP, who's wielding a cane. As soon as Seth and Kevin start attacking Bobby Lashley, Big E decides to turn his back on the cane-wielding maniac and go after Bobby Lashley, or go help his opponent in 2 weeks, Bobby Lashley, stop from getting attacked by the other bad guys, Seth and Kevin. Why would Big E go help Bobby Lashley? Like, what's the motivation for him? Other than, hatred of Seth and Kevin Owens, which is, believable, I guess. But, you turn your back on MVP, who has proven that he's willing to hit you with a cane, and you go and help Bobby Lashley. Why did you help Bobby Lashley? And then, Big E and gets taken out a little bit by Seth and Kevin, but then eventually Bobby comes back and helps Big E, and they take out Seth and Kevin, and we have Seth and Kevin backstage, and they talk to Adam Pearce and Sonya, and then we set up the tag team match that was the main event. But the way we got there didn't make a ton of sense.
At all.
Like, why is Big E helping Bobby when he's getting attacked by Seth and Kevin? Why are Seth and Kevin coming out of the crowd together to ringside to attack Bobby? Why not attack the babyface, Big E? And also, why are they together? Why are they friends all of a sudden when over the past month they've been hating each other and deeply feuding? It doesn't make a ton of sense.
And it makes Big E so much less interesting of a character, because instead of having him, see this guy getting beat up, but choosing to like turn his back on him, which might, make fans go like, oh, they have to make him like be this John Cena, I've got to do the right thing no matter what. Sure, Bobby and I have our differences, but I'll stick up for him if he's getting, because that's not a fair fight, and just like this white meat, kind of thing, it makes him so less interesting.
It's strange. I don't understand the Bobby Lashley character right now. I'm seeing a question from Silent by Deadly. Why does it have to make sense? Maybe they're trying new things. I mean, it has to make sense because it's a TV show and they're trying to tell stories, right? Like if you were watching, let's say, The Sopranos, for example, and one week Tony Soprano is killing people and he's a mafia guy, and then the next week he's like running a bakery and maybe telling the FBI about some mafia friends that he has. And then
And
the
it's
week
not
after,
a dream episode.
it's not. No, it's a real episode.
Not
And
a
then
coma episode.
and then the week after, he's like back with the mafia friends because he decided he doesn't want to be with the FBI anymore. Like that's not how stories get told. And also, if he's gonna make those twists and turns, give me some reason why. Give me a reason why Seth and Kevin tonight were friends. Give me a reason why Big E decided to help Bobby Lashley. It's got to make sense because this is a TV show that we're trying to watch and make sense of. Like, these are characters that are supposed to have logical motivations. And if they don't have these logical courses of action, you wonder why you're watching. And also, it makes it less good, you know? If it's a cohesive story and it builds to something like a match, then we have what's called good professional wrestling.
Or entertainment.
What we're having right now is a lot of confusing, boring shit. The main event was not something we were dying to see. I mean, we're sitting around watching the 3-hour show, and it's like, what's the main event? Oh, well, it'll be the Seth and Bobby and Kevin thing. Notice I say Big E last, even though he's the champion. He is the final thought. He's the afterthought in this whole thing. There's so much more emphasis paid on Kevin and Seth and Bobby. Big E feels like a forgotten entity in this story.
How many combined in-ring and backstage promos were there for Bobby tonight? 4? It seemed like every time they came back from commercial break, Bobby's at his locker going I'm going to beat him tonight. I'm going to show them and dominate, and I'm almighty. And
yeah.
It's just babyface stuff. It's so weird. It's like Vince saw Bobby once backstage just one week and was just like, oh, I love this guy. Let's make Bobby champion. And then someone was like, Vince, Bobby was champion for most of the last year, and we built him as a heel.
It's a strange
Shut
rebuild.
Up, damn it.
It's a really strange way to rebuild Bobby Lashley. I don't get it. And it was not great tonight. Bobby Lashley and Big E wind up beating Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Very strange finish. Lashley goes to spear Seth Rollins. Seth leapfrogs over Lashley. Lashley spears Big E, who's his partner, right? Lashley then turns around. Kevin Owens has been tagged in. Lashley turns around, sees Kevin Owens, spears him immediately. He speared his partner, didn't distract him, didn't do anything. Kevin Owens comes in, you would think maybe takes advantage. No, he takes a spear from Bobby Lashley. 1, 2, 3 matches over. Lashley looks real strong after, taking most of the punishment from the heel team, which is odd because you would think Lashley is a heel too. You would let Big E, the babyface, take the heat, the offense, right, from the bad guys. You want the heel team, Seth and Kevin, to beat up on the babyface champion to bring some sympathy there, but instead, Bobby Lashley was the one taking it, and Bobby Lashley, even though he hit his partner with a spear, then turned around and speared Kevin Owens and beat him too. Okay, and the match was, what it was. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything that you will remember or need to ever see again. I don't think I really needed to see this the first time. Seth jumped in the ring, hit the curb stomp on Bobby immediately after the match, and this is where the Kevin and Seth show continued. They beat up on Bobby. They hit Big E and Bobby Lashley with the ring steps in the head. Kevin Owens powerbombed Bobby Lashley on the ring apron, which looked kind of nasty. Seth hit the curb stomp on Bobby Lashley on the steel steps. And then Seth and Owens hugged. It looked like they were maybe going to, at that point, okay, they've taken out their opponents. Now they're going to face off and fight each other. Because, they are going to wrestle each other in 2 weeks at day one for that WWE title. You would think maybe they'd want to, continue that. But no, they're super good friends now, and they did the, coming together in the middle of the ring hug like the best friends do on AEW.
Yeah. Or Kevin and Jericho did when it seemed like they were about to break up, and they're like, whose fault this is? Roman Reigns. And then they hugged in that exact same, big animated with the arms fashion.
Yeah.
That big come in there hug. Yeah, it just seems this weird rehash.
And then they celebrated by hugging, and Seth Rollins' music played, and then Kevin and Seth just posing together.
And that was the end of Raw.
And they seemed like cohesive units, very close together. But,
next week.
Why do this now? Why do this now when you have one more week of Raw next week in Detroit before you have day one in Atlanta on January 1st, where Kevin and Seth are not going to get along. throughout the majority of the match. I guess you're trying to build the idea that maybe Big E is in trouble. But then what about Bobby? Bobby Lashley's also in trouble because Kevin and Seth are teaming up. Like, I don't... they're trying to build a story for the match where Kevin and Seth will team up for a while and probably put Lashley down and put Big E down, and then it'll come down to them, and, Seth will try to pin Lashley, and Kevin will stop him, and then they'll attack each other. And
What the hell, man?
Yeah, and then
I thought we were trying to win. I want to win.
Yeah, they'll do that whole thing, which, whatever, and it'll probably lead to Kevin and Seth attacking each other and Big E taking advantage and retaining the title that way. Through Kevin and Seth not getting along, you think, maybe Kevin and Seth will team up and one of them will walk out champion, but of course they fight each other at the pay-per-view. Bobby Lashley, hits the big ending after Kevin hits Seth with Kevin hits Seth with the stunner. This is the finish. Kevin and Seth put Bobby Lashley through the announce table.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin hits Seth with the stunner. Kevin turns around. Big ending. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That's the match. That's how it ends. I mean, something like that in that realm. Kevin and Seth do something together. Take out Bobby. Kevin decides to turn on Seth because he always does. Hits him with the stunner. Takes Seth out. Turns around. Big E grabs him. Boom. Big ending. 1, 2, 3. Big E retains the WWE Championship. That, to me, is how it goes down, and I think that's why they're putting Seth and Kevin together now. It just seems so obvious for the pay-per-view what's going to happen.
Just once, I'd like to see this scenario turn out where there's like two guys, and they just come to decide, you know what, you're going to win this. And one, and then they win.
Yes.
Just
once. How about Kevin says, you know what, like, Seth, you're awesome. I think you're fantastic. We're playing your music. I've got a new appreciation for you. I think Becky's great. I'm a good friend of yours. I want to be a good pal, and I'm gonna help you win the WWE Championship. Just promise that once you win the WWE Championship, you and I can do a one-on-one match, and we'll get rid of Bobby and Big E and forget about those guys. And then Seth could say, yes, okay, let's do that. And then they follow through with the plan, and then Seth actually wins, and then they do the one-on-one match, and then they feud or whatever. Yeah. It would make sense for somebody at some point to say, you know what, we are going to team up, and we're going to decide who's going to win, and then that person's going to win, and then we'll wrestle each other down the road, and we'll figure it out between us. But we're going to eliminate the Bobby Lashley Big E scenario right here in this match. It would make sense.
Yeah.
Like if you and I were in a fatal four-way match for real, right? We'd figure it out between us. We do rock, paper, scissors before the match, figure out who gets to be champion. We team up on everybody. As soon as, say you win the rock, paper, scissors, I'd be like, all right, go get him. You go, you get him, we finish the match, you win, and then after it's like, all right, let's wrestle each other now. It's like, all right, cool. See you next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble, baby.
Just once.
If it were real, that's what people would do once in a while. They wouldn't be friends and then get to the match and be like, oh, wait a second, you wanted to win? I thought I was going to win. I would have never envisioned this scenario happening. I cannot understand. We were such good friends, and now we go into this match where there can only be one winner, and we didn't discuss at any moment prior to this very minute right now who will be the winner, even though we're so close. They have time to discuss their attack on Bobby Lashley. They don't have time to say, hey, only one of us can win this thing. Like, maybe we should team up and ensure that we win.
It's not an easy conversation.
It always happens, like, in the match. They're like, oh, wait a second. Only one of us can win this thing. Well, I assumed you thought I was going to win. Well, I assumed you thought I was going to win. Why do they do that all the time?
It's like this horrible, hacky...
Yeah. Oh, well, you bastard, you! And then they fight each other, and they cost each other the match, and then somebody else wins because of that. It's so hacky. It's so, overdone.
They came close. They came close to almost making it work that one time when the DX was in a triple threat with John Cena. They were really close to having it be like, okay, like Shawn wins or something. But
yeah, but like, even then they couldn't figure it out. Even then they're like, oh, we're such good friends, but I have to win. It's like, what? Yeah. Just let Shawn win one.
Happened, yeah.
You know, and then, but of course Cena probably won, right?
Cena won,
yeah, of course. It's like they've never seen any of these wrestling matches in the past. They've never been like, wait a second, you know. Usually the friends that go into one of these multi-man, one fall to a finish match, you know, usually the friends, they're not so friendly in the match. Maybe we should come up with some sort of idea to get around this.
So we'll still be cool later.
By God, I think you have something. What an idea.
Just once.
Let's flip a coin, decide who's WWE champion, make sure it's not Big E or Bobby Lashley, and then let's beat one of those guys, and then we win. I mean, no rules in this match either. We can just hit them both repeatedly with chairs in the face till they're both unconscious. And one of us pins them, and then we win.
So it makes it more interesting. You know, like it shows the side of Kevin Owens' character. Like, wow, he's actually like willing to let this guy win.
Yeah.
Out of respect and like, you
but
know,
also,
like,
but also intelligence.
Yeah.
Like, if these people aren't complete idiots, at one point in time they would realize, hey, maybe we should decide who wins beforehand. Not like, you know, Vince deciding, but the wrestlers in the real way. Right? Yeah. But that'll never happen.
No.
It'll never happen.
No, it'll be, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Because wrestling is, like, not that thought out and not that interesting. It's just usually dumb, and they're going to go to the kind of easiest, most overdone thing, especially the WWE. Like, in their stories, in their matches, they don't give you a ton of twists and turns these days. They're going to give you exactly what you're expecting. Kevin and Seth are friends now so that they can break up in the match and cost each other the match, and it's probably just a way so that Seth doesn't have to look weak by legitimately losing. He'll get screwed by Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm. It's to protect Seth.
It's probably just to protect Seth. At
Kevin
this
will
point.
probably take the pinfall.
Kevin signs a new contract. They're not interested in protecting Kevin. It doesn't matter. Whatever, dude.
They have him.
All right. What else happened on this silly show? Bianca Belair wrestled Doudrop. Probably the match of the night.
Yeah, it's mine.
I would agree with that. Just because the rest of the show was so bad. It wasn't even offensively bad. It was just kind of ongoing. You know, it happened, but nothing was good, really. Nothing was interesting. Nothing got my attention except for the Vince promo. Like, Vince talking always gets my attention. But Omos, I guess.
We'll get to him.
Yeah, we'll do that. Bianca and Doudrop was good. Bianca hitting the KOD on Doudrop, carrying her on her shoulders, and then applying that move like bam, the big slam. Very impressive. Bianca is super strong. I really think Bianca and Doudrop have tremendous chemistry together. I just fear that giving us this match each and every week on Raw is a little bit of overkill. And maybe we're seeing too much of Bianca versus Doudrop, because I think the match last week was better, even though we did have a cleaner finish tonight. Still, I'd say match of the night would be Bianca and Doudrop.
Yeah. This week they could have used maybe like having different opponents, you know, getting Doudrop a win, you know, and then like, you know, having a match at day one, unless day one's card's super stacked, which I don't think it is.
No. But having a match at day one, again, like...
Well, no, but, like, you know, you have a break, you know, and then, like, you have maybe a gimmick match at day one.
But the break is not really a break. The break is 1 week of Raw.
Yeah, but, you know, you have, like...
You're saying...
Separate matches, so it's like they could kind of get over, you know, like, Doudrop gets a win.
Yeah, maybe. They might
lost
do it
last
again.
week, too. Didn't Bianca get the win last week? Or was last week... No, 2 weeks ago was the count-out finish, right?
Yeah.
And then they didn't wrestle last week?
No, I thought maybe last week was a count-out finish. I can't remember.
Because this was, I think, the third match.
Yeah. But this was there must
Bianca
be a
got
win.
a win.
No, this is the
week.
second, I think.
Oh, yeah?
I think this is just the second one.
Fuck.
But it's 2 weeks in a row,
Yeah,
right?
So, all right, well, it feels like they've wrestled 3 weeks in a row. Maybe Doudrop attacked Bianca a couple weeks ago?
I don't know. I could tell you exactly.
I mean, either way, I don't know. I feel like if they want to keep, well, I mean, they clearly want to keep this going. So I thought, like, instead of having them wrestle each other this week, you'd have like promos and Bianca versus some, Carmella and Doudrop beating Nikki Ash in a match or something, and just making them both look strong en route to their payoff match because they both hold these wrestlers in high enough regard. Like, I hope Doudrop after this feud, keeps going. I don't know if she will.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this just to keep Bianca strong while she waits for another match with Becky, or is there something more to this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the long-term plan is. I can't figure out this goddamn how many matches Doudrop and Bianca have had, but I feel like it's been a couple. This one was good. I don't know where they go post this. I do like Doudrop, and I hope that they don't drop the ball on her completely. I hope they, they do something, but it does feel like this is Bianca's feud to win. Very impressive KOD there. Really nice finish from Bianca, lifting Doudrop up on her shoulders. Bianca is a super athlete, and she's really good in the ring. That promo in Gorilla, though, was not great. Her promos are still kind of lacking. She's like, Doudrop, I mean, really? Don't you know that I'm the EST of WWE, and I've been focused since day one, and I got my eyes on the prize, and I'm Bianca Belair, and I'm the EST, and I'm going to prove to you why I'm the EST. And it's like, all right.
It's not good. It sounds like a heel.
Yeah, it's not great.
The women's division could really benefit from like a TBS title situation, because it's very top heavy. With your Beckys and your Charlottes and your Sashas and your eventual Baileys and your Biancas, that to have a belt for the Doudrops, for the Tony Storms, for the Naomis, for the Alexa, like a more, just to give them something, because if Doudrop loses his feud and then goes to the nowhere land.
I thought that's what the tag team titles were for, but they really don't do anything with them. Zelina is one half of the tag team champions. She lost to Rhea Ripley tonight. Carmella's her tag team partner. Carmella was not on Raw.
Not even mentioned where,
no
Carmella doing something, like Corey Graves could have come up with something.
No one asked where Carmella was, which is odd. I don't know.
She's been prominently featured.
Yeah. Bianca gets the win over Doudrop tonight. Solid match. Probably the best match we saw all night. And like I said, Rhea Ripley got the win over Zelina Vega with a Riptide. Pretty quick match. Pretty surprising that Rhea just went right through Zelina. Zelina got very little offense in. Rhea hits her finisher, the Riptide. 1, 2, 3. Rhea Ripley going over. And Zelina's been pushed pretty strong here. She won the Queen's Crown. She won the tag team titles. They've been doing a lot with Zelina.
She got the pinfall, too. She scored the win.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden she loses for the first time in a while. So that was a bit of a surprise to see Zelina not only lose, but lose quite quickly tonight to Rhea Ripley. But I feel like not Bianca being built up for Becky Lynch, but Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch is a match that you could do for WrestleMania. It's a match you could do for any big pay-per-view. And I think
maybe a triple threat for WrestleMania
with Bianca, possibly.
Two big, strong ladies and Becky.
Yeah, I could see that going down as well, but I feel like Rhea Ripley is being built up right now for a big match with Becky because it hasn't happened yet, and it's a matter of time, and that would be big money. I think Rhea is fantastic, and she should challenge Becky at some point. That's a feud we should see, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the match for WrestleMania. Bianca, Rhea, and Becky, or just Becky versus Rhea one-on-one.
Yeah, that's very likely. We'll see what happens with the Royal Rumble and everything like that. But that does seem likely. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Rhea holds up promo-wise against Becky. Might expose her a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But because Rhea's a bit mumbly. Just oh, I'm going to beat you.
I mean, the promos in the women's division right now are pretty weak. From the women that we saw tonight, Becky's the only one who can talk. And even then, her promo with Liv Morgan tonight was not very good. Right? Rhea Ripley's promos are not great. I agree. Kind of mumbly and kind of saying nothing. Bianca Belair's promos are so braggy and so saying nothing that she doesn't come off as a babyface. Doudrop doesn't really cut promos, and when she does, she's not that heelish, so it's weird. Nikki Ash, I mean, forget about it. Those are ridiculous promos, that superhero gimmick. Zelina, where she drifts in and out of that queen gimmick, that British accent, and then she goes all, New York on everybody. It's like, all right, it's a weak ripoff of Booker T's King Booker gimmick, and it's just bad, and she's not pulling it off. And Liv Morgan, I mean, god damn, so bad. Such a bad promo tonight. They gave her a chance. They gave her a mic in the ring, and she failed miserably. The best promo done by a woman tonight on Raw was by Maurice. By far.
Oh, yeah.
Like, by far.
She won me over.
Yeah.
I believed her.
She was the best promo on Raw tonight. Not Edge. Not Miz. Not MVP.
Not Bobby.
Not Bobby. Not even AJ Styles. It was Maurice. Maurice had the promo of the night tonight. She was on fire. But, everything else, like Bianca's promos are weak. Becky is the only one who's really cutting a serious promo each and every week. And she's at the top of the card for a reason, because she's, the only one who can talk and wrestle. On Raw? Like, who else is talking and wrestling?
Becky's given freedom with her promos, you would imagine?
I mean, to a certain extent.
Because it feels like it's her own, sort of making, like, she doesn't do the puns as much as she used to, but, like, I don't know, like, it feels a little more natural. And, like, it just feels like it's not the same person writing everybody else's promos for Becky. Like, it feels a bit different.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just her delivery or if she's given a little more liberty.
I think she has some input there. Yeah. And she puts her input in because it feels more like Becky Lynch. But tonight, it didn't feel like much. The Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan promo, Liv Morgan talking about how she attacked Becky Lynch at her school that Seth and Becky have there, the wrestling school. And Liv, there's a video shown where Liv attacks somebody that looks like Becky with a kendo stick, but it's not Becky. It's a fake Becky. And then Becky is behind Liv and attacks her with a kendo stick. And then Liv fights back and chases Becky off with the stick. And then Liv is back in the ring talking about what she did to Becky and going on and on about Becky and how she's scared of her and how Becky's going to lose to her at day one. And then Liv will be the Raw Women's Champion. And Liv went on and on and on, and it was awkward. It was just bad. The crowd noise was being pumped in. I can imagine what the crowd was actually saying, or maybe they weren't saying anything and they had to kill the silence, but it was a pretty bad segment. Becky Lynch finally came out, said some stuff about Liv not being able to handle the heat in the spotlight, which, she was in the middle of the ring, given a mic, and she was melting. Liv invited Becky into the ring, gave her a kendo stick, said, "Dear, come on, kendo stick is for you, come and get me." Becky's like, nah, decides to leave. Liv, and then took a bow at the end of the promo. Like this was all some big performance.
Yeah, or she cut a pipe bomb.
I don't know what the hell that bow was for, but, I mean, you're doing a promo, you're not acting in a play, but it seemed like, Liv had been rehearsing that promo all day long. It was the most dialogue she'd ever have to deliver by herself in a ring, and when it was all over, she was so relieved that she felt she had to have a big smile and take a bow, even though Becky Lynch decided to leave and not, continue to fight her. Liv didn't seem angry at Becky or anything. She just seemed happy and relieved that her promo segment was over and that she had made it through without, botching anything majorly. But it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it was pretty bad.
It's like she really puts her real self out there, but the problem is her real self is incredibly cringy.
Yeah, it's just really
I think she's just being
hard to watch.
She's being real, I think, in all her promos and like all the stuff about the kendo stick and Becky being a coward and like her treating her students bad and just rambling on. Like that's probably like her real.
You think?
Or just like how she's.
I think this is how she thinks a babyface is supposed to act, and it just feels like she's playing wrestler. Yeah. It doesn't feel like she is a wrestler. When you watch her matches, all her moves seem like, okay, I'm going to do this move now. It just seems like she's playing the part of a pro wrestler, but not actually living that life. She doesn't.
Living.
Yeah. She doesn't seem legitimate in any way. Nothing she does is believable, except when she cries. I believe that. But her promos are not believable. When she's talking about beating Becky, I don't believe it. She never has any kind of aggression in her matches or her promos. Like, she's never mad. She's never believably mad. It's awful. The Liv Morgan promo experiment, this whole feud with Becky Lynch, I am really hoping that it ends at day one, because Liv Morgan, this has been her opportunity. This has been her shot, and she's failing miserably. All the Liv Morgan fans out there, I don't know if they're saying that she's doing well. They probably are, because marks will be marks, but goddamn, pal, this is some bad shit. And even Becky couldn't save this one. This was bad.
Marks don't like to admit when
their favorites fail.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what part of being a fan is admitting when something's not good, so that you can improve it.
I'm not really a fan of anybody on this show. I just like I like pro wrestling. I'm a fan of Edge and Vince McMahon, I guess. AJ Styles. I liked AJ Styles tonight. He was in the ring with Rey Mysterio for a bit. Unfortunately, it was Dominic and Rey versus AJ and Omos. So, Omos and Dominic were in this match too. But there was a moment there. There was a bit of a sequence where AJ Styles was wrestling Rey Mysterio, and it felt like I was watching a real quality professional wrestling show. It was really weird. There was like a minute, about 60 seconds, where it felt like a high-class professional wrestling product, because Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles were in the ring wrestling each other. And I thought, well, if all else fails, at least I'll have this moment of seeing these two world-class legends wrestling each other, these two top-level pro wrestling performers. At least we had a second of that. Then, of course, it all fell apart when AJ Styles decides to tag Omos, and Omos doesn't jump off the apron, because honestly I don't think he can. He just turned his head. He turned his head and he made a face.
Yeah, just hard camera. It's a 1,000-yard stare there.
Look at that face. That's the face he made. Turned his face on AJ Styles and said, "No! No!" And did not tag AJ Styles. There's the face of Omos.
And then AJ, that was a distraction needed for AJ to get pinned.
Yeah, AJ got rolled up by Rey Mysterio after Omos just turned his face away from the tag. Strange moment. And yes, the Mysterios did wind up beating AJ and Omos after that, Rey rolling up AJ. AJ got mad at Omos after the match, called him a piece of trash. Omos shoved AJ. AJ fought back, though, was looking pretty good. The crowd was seemingly on AJ's side. Omos tossed AJ away. AJ fought back a bit more, went for the phenomenal forearm, but Omos picked him up and dropped him down. Like, picked him up over his head and then dropped him flat on his face on the mat. And AJ was down, and then Omos uttered the worst promo on the show. It was very short, but it was awful. He says, "Next time you see me, it will be a match." And then he paused for a great deal of time. So I thought it was over. It was like, all right, next time you see me, it will be a match. But then he said, "Against you!" As like a big piece of drool fell out of his mouth as well and fell on AJ, I would guess.
It looked like he slurped it back up.
Yeah, "Next time you see me, it will be a match against you."
That's already implied, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Because the next time you see me,
it'll be a match. And you'll be watching it. I'll be wrestling Dolph Ziggler next week on Raw. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it was terrible. Omos can't wrestle and he can't talk. And now they're breaking him away from the only guy that makes him relevant on TV.
And he might get a win on
Oh,
that
he'll
guy.
beat AJ Styles for sure. For sure. Put that on day one. That's a pay-per-view match right there. AJ versus Omos, first time ever.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinny, for subscribing. But, put that down. Put AJ versus Omos one-on-one. Oh, wait, sorry. It's on Raw next week. They're already giving it away for free. Yeah, AJ and Omos is set for Raw next week. Randy Orton will wrestle Otis. Randy Orton got a win over Chad Gable tonight with a RKO. Surprise, surprise. And then Otis tried to attack Randy after the match. Randy attempted the RKO. Otis pushed him off. Randy attempted it again. Otis pushed him off. Randy tried again. Otis pushed him off as well the third time. And then Randy rolled out of the ring. And it'll be Randy versus Otis next week. Not a bad match between Randy and Gable. I don't know where Riddle was. I don't know why he wasn't there with Randy, but Riddle was not on TV this week. Didn't miss him. Didn't miss those, hey, Randy, what do you think, buddy? You want to go smoke some weed, man? He doesn't say that exactly, but, you get the gist.
It's implied.
Hey, Randy. Hey, bro. You want to wear some jackets, man?
It's like Pauly Shore.
Yeah, he's basically Pauly Shore.
He is a very Pauly Shore. Matt Riddle. He has a very Pauly Shore
fucking
vibe,
annoying.
Which is a Pauly Shore vibe.
Ugh.
But, yeah, Omos. Like, Omos has been built up as this monster since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I feel like it was when he crushed the New Day.
He's trash. Like, his wrestling is not working. His promos are weird. His facial expressions are awkward. The way he moves is weird. Like, it's not working. Fire Omos. Like, it's a matter of time, right?
It culminates on just like a one-off on Raw, and maybe we won't see him again. Maybe AJ will like phenomenal forearm him, and he'll just disappear.
Yeah, I could see that. Ooh, I don't think so, though. I think they're going to try something with Omos, but man, is he not working. He is not working. Austin Theory wrestled Finn Balor. Finn Balor beat Austin Theory after the coup de grace. And then Austin Theory later on attacked Finn Balor when he was getting interviewed backstage. And Austin decided to go to Vince McMahon, his buddy Vince, and brag about it to Vince. So Theory's in Vince's office, and he says he got his revenge on Finn after losing the match. And Vince mumbled some words. He's like, yeah, I enjoyed it. You could say you really beat the chocolate pudding out of him, but you lost the match. I was like, what? Beat the chocolate pudding out of him? Vince was especially mumbly during this promo. Vince was wondering whether he should fire Theory for losing the match. He says, maybe I should fire you. I really enjoy firing people, especially during the holidays, which, given the record number of wrestlers that they fired this year, is a little maybe tone deaf for Vince. But hey, that's Vince. He's completely tone deaf. Have you seen his wrestling product?
They put like a piped in cheer, I think, when he said that, like, especially during the holidays year. Yeah!
Yeah, we love getting fired during the holidays. Vince, fire us! And then Vince says, Theory, you're going to get a rematch with Finn next week. And I didn't become a ruthless billionaire by making bad investments. You better not be a bad investment, Austin Theory. Here's the pencil. And don't forget what this is for. And Theory says, yeah, erasing. And Vince says, yeah. And then Vince erases some stuff on a piece of paper, and then he blows the residue of the eraser into Theory's face, and then says, ho, ho, ho.
And Vince has made several horrible investments.
Well, yeah, I mean, the WBF, the XFL,
WWF New York even couldn't have been cheap.
Roman Reigns.
WWE Studios.
Sorry, did I say Roman Reigns? Yeah, a lot of bad investments. WWE Films, I mean, countless wrestlers that have been dog shit. So, yeah.
So he did
I don't
become
know.
a ruthless billionaire through bad investments.
I don't know. This Vince promo tonight was weird, but, because it's so weird and because it is Vince McMahon and what he says does matter, this was probably the best part of the show. For me, this is my favorite part of the show. Was it good TV? No, but I'm just a longtime WWE fan, and I like seeing the progression into madness of Vince McMahon, mad aging billionaire, and this was just another chapter in that. Vince McMahon talking about chocolate pudding and saying that he should fire people, and he enjoys firing people, especially this year. Saying that is interesting. And it's not just the meat of the promo, what he's saying, it's how he delivers it in this strange, hushed mumble that's not the boisterous Mr. McMahon that we're used to. Like, it's not the Vince impression that I do. The Vince impression that I do is sexed up Vince from the early 2000s. My demon seed, my son Shane.
Pal.
Hey, pal, I'm Vince. Look, I'm so sexy. Now it's this weird, like, hey, it was chocolate pudding. What do you think? What expected, unexpected surprises. Surprises are great, and I really like them, man. What do you
know what this eraser is?
What is a razor? You want a razor? How did you get a razor? Austin Theory, you want me to take off your
He's
pants?
this weird, like, Nick Nolte character, this, like, weird, like, rambling.
It's not
like,
a character. This is who
I
he's
know,
turned out to be. This
but
is who
it's
he
so
is now.
Weird.
This is him now. This is Vince.
And just, like, if you didn't, like, make out everything he was saying, it sounded like an old man just asking for some chocolate pudding. Like the nurse stole it.
You really eat the chocolate pudding there.
He's Grandpa Simpson.
Where's my pudding? God damn it, Austin Theory. Yeah, I had to turn up the volume considerably when Vince started talking just to understand what the fuck was going on.
I can't believe they haven't figured out to, like, boost his mic during his segments.
I don't think they want to. I think they want him as incomprehensible as possible because they know he's going to say some awful shit, and they're hoping that no one hears it. I think it's the production team trying to save Vince from himself. Honestly, I think they have his mic lowered on purpose so that people don't understand him.
So people just look at Vince, they're not paying attention. Like, oh, hey, there's Vince. And then,
Yeah,
like,
short.
what's next?
Yeah, that's it. Because he comes and goes. He's in there. He's there for 2 minutes. He says some weird shit, and then he's gone. And you have to pay real close attention to understand what the hell is going on there. But it's a fascinating turn of events here. The Vince McMahon Austin Theory friendship on TV that we've seen blossom since the last pay-per-view with the egg, right? It's been super weird. This Vince character in the office it's very
and yet
weird.
Austin Theory lost his match tonight.
Yeah,
Like, I don't understand. Like, if they're building this guy,
I don't think they are.
but yet they're featuring him with Vince McMahon frequently.
I think he's just Vince's comedic foil. He's just like making fun of him, and Vince thinks it's funny. I think it's a rib.
I know, it doesn't make any sense because, like,
Well, Finn will wrestle him next week. Do you think anything? Is Vince ever going to come to ringside and help Austin Theory win, or is that's beneath him, right?
But just the fact that he's being associated, like, in this, I know we've been talking about poor storytelling choices, but, like, Finn Balor's a guy, he's pretty strong, but, like, he doesn't seem to be really going anywhere.
Yeah.
And Austin Theory is consistently getting featured as a fresher face. Like, should he get a win? You could argue
Probably.
like he should. It might not be like, he's not as good as a wrestler as Finn Balor, but, if he's on his way up and he's being featured with the boss, for him to just get, like, swept under the rug after this is over and, like, be like, whatever happened to that guy? It sucks.
I guess, but I mean, Vince had so many promo segments with Eugene, and whatever happened to that
Brad
guy.
Maddox.
Yeah, I mean, Vince has associated himself with a lot of people who are no longer around or relevant.
Baron Corbin's still around somehow.
Yeah, I don't know why that's happened.
He should be one of those guys.
Baron Corbin is an anomaly. I don't understand how he's still employed by the WWE. But, I mean, whatever. They have as long as Madcap Moss is employed, Baron Corbin makes sense, too, because, Madcap Moss is a shittier version of Baron Corbin, and, he still exists.
Yeah.
So as long as they're both
doing fine.
Yeah, as long as one is around, the other one should be, I guess.
I know, but, like, I don't know. It feels like it should be, like, if someone has promo time, especially with Vince in this day and age where he's barely
It's so
interacted
rare.
with anyone.
You would think that they would use it with somebody they have some faith in, but I feel like every week Vince is telling us what he really thinks about Austin Theory, and we just have to believe him at this point.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he's much of anything.
You should put a bag over his face at the end of the promo. Just be like,
Put a blue dot. Yeah.
Or dump a bucket of water.
He should slap him in the face every week. When he slapped him, that was the best. I like seeing old man Vince slapping people.
That's real.
Yeah, it's real. It's realer than Dana Brooke running through some sort of Christmas tree installation with Reginald, and then Tozawa dressed as an elf, and Tamina shows up. Of course, Dana Brooke is the 24/7 champion, and Tamina is the one chasing her. Tozawa and Truth seem to be chasing Dana Brooke, but they never make any attempt to actually attack her, and I don't think that they would. But they're around because, it's a 24/7 title and they got nothing else for those guys. Kind of amazing that Tozawa still has a job, but he does. Dressing as an elf and doing these comedy skits with R-Truth and Dana Brooke. Wonder how long this is going to go on for. Tamina tries to roll Dana up, but Dana runs away. Dana winds up beating up Tamina and then escaping. Tamina, after getting beat up by Dana Brooke, then blamed Truth and Tozawa for, I don't know, blowing her cover. I don't really understand. That seems to be the story. Dana and Reginald are on some sort of romantic walk somewhere earlier in the day, and R-Truth and Tozawa are dressed up to blend in with the elements. Tamina shows up, yells at Truth and Tozawa, blowing her cover herself, really alerting Dana Brooke to her presence. Dana Brooke fights her off, runs away, and then Tamina blames Truth and Tozawa for her own failures. And that's the 24/7 title segment that we saw tonight.
I think
I don't know. What the fuck?
I think there'll probably be different champions, but I think as long as Truth is still around and considered active, there will always be a segment because Truth is, a favorite of Vince's.
It's something for Truth to do.
Yeah, it's out of respect for this whole segment's out of respect for Truth to give him a nice steady paycheck and TV time.
Yeah, he's got a job for life, and he's got it as long as he wants it because they love him in the WWE, and why wouldn't you? He's a funny guy. He's entertaining. He gives everything to all these stupid characters that they give him, and he makes it work. So I think Truth is going to be well taken care of for a long time by WWE. You would hope. I know he's got a lot of friends, and everybody seems to love him. When they hear about Truth, everybody seems to have great things to say about him. So I think that if they were to release him, they would face some serious heat from the wrestlers because the wrestlers love R-Truth. And why wouldn't you? I think the fans, too, would be mad. Even though he's not a big part of the show, he is a beloved member of the roster, right? Like, if Truth was gone, you kind of wouldn't miss him. But if he got fired, you'd be kind of mad at WWE. Like, why would you fire Truth?
Goldust, when Goldust was around there at the end.
He's lovable.
AEW.
He's a lovable character, R-Truth.
Around,
He's funny. He's funny, and he's entertaining. I love R-Truth. And, for his age, too, he's in ridiculous shape for any age. But, when you realize how old he is, he's like in his late 40s, maybe nearly 50 at this point. And he looks fantastic. It's crazy.
Yeah,
he hasn't aged. He hasn't aged since like the mid 90s. It's pretty amazing.
But
I love Truth.
Yeah. So they'll like Dana Brooke might lose the belt to somebody else, but like it'll always involve like Truth chasing them and stuff. I think there'll always be a segment of Truth in disguise, pretending to be someone else and like showing off his comedy prowess.
Until he's too old to do it at some point. Dolph Ziggler beat Damian Priest tonight by countout. Now, this was probably going to be my match of the night until the finish. Robert Roode pulled Priest off the apron behind the ref's back. Priest snapped. He did that crazy Damian Priest thing where he goes bananas. And he attacked Roode, and he didn't realize that the count was going from the ref, so he got counted out. And then Priest went for Ziggler, but Dolph escaped. So he hit Roode with his Crossroads thing while Dolph watched from the stage. And because Dolph got the non-title win in a countout over Damian Priest tonight, he will face Damian Priest for the U.S. title next week on Raw, which is rare tonight. They announced 4 matches that they're doing next week on Raw in Detroit. AJ Styles versus Omos, which is pretty exciting. Randy Orton versus Otis, which is also exciting because I'm a big Otis fan. I'm looking forward to that one. Finn Balor versus Austin Theory for the 100th time. I don't really care. And Damian Priest defending the U.S. title against Dolph Ziggler. Strongly doubt. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Doug. Doug dropping a super chat. Good stuff, pals. Angelo just dropping a super chat there with the emoji. Thank you, Angelo. I like the Damian Priest-Dolph Ziggler match tonight. I think they were on their way to something good. Ended in a count-out. But next week on Raw, U.S. title, yeah, I'm down for that. I think it'll be good. I like Damian Priest. I don't like his whole snapping gimmick. I don't like his name. But the guy himself, the wrestler, when he has wrestling matches, when he's between the ropes doing his thing, he's one of the best in the WWE. The guy's excellent. Big fan of his. He had tremendous matches with, I think, Sheamus, right? Tremendous matches with Sheamus. And he's just been having good matches with people. He had that great match with T-Bar, right, on Raw. A couple matches with T-Bar that were pretty damn excellent. The guy's had a very good run as a U.S. champion. It's been a quiet run. Not a lot of focus put on Damian Priest, but he has been very, very good. Yeah. I'm a big fan of his in-ring work, and I think he and Dolph will have an excellent match next week. I thought they were doing very good work tonight, but the finish left a little to be desired. So I am looking forward to that U.S. title match next week. I think it'll be excellent. Again, I can't say enough good things about Damian Priest. The gimmick, the character, not my favorite, but as far as his wrestling, on a week-in, week-out basis, he's one of the most consistent guys.
Yeah, it's nice to have something consistently positive. Mm-hmm. You know, like, sees like every week we're like, oh, Damian Priest, he was pretty good this week. Yeah,
every week he's good.
Yeah, which is, kind of rare right now.
But you got to give the guy his props. Yeah. He's one of the better wrestlers in the WWE today on a consistent basis. His matches are better than most of the shit you see on the show.
Just putting it out there.
Edge hosts the Cutting Edge with Maurice as the guest. So Miz used Maurice as a human shield last week to stop Edge from attacking. Maurice slapped Miz and seemed to walk out on him. She then was interviewed by Edge tonight as Edge's guest, and Maurice says Miz is the most arrogant, narcissistic human on the planet, and he won't shut up. That's why she didn't appear on Miz TV, because she never is able to get a word in when she's around her husband, The Miz. Maurice says she loves Miz, but she needs to be thanked for everything she does for the household, and she puts everything together, and she keeps their marriage and their life together. And Maurice seemed legit upset. It felt real. Like, those words from Maurice felt pretty real. I'm sure there was an element of reality, because in every marriage, I'm sure there's issues Maurice might be having. But I thought it was interesting. And, it felt real that Maurice, what she was saying about Miz, and Edge was like, oh, I'm not buying it. This is just an act. This is just to fool me, and you and Miz are in cahoots. But it's like, okay, well, last week she slapped him, and this week she's calling him all sorts of names and saying that she hates him, and it does feel kind of authentic. Like, okay, maybe Edge, you are right, and this is a ruse by Maurice and Miz. Or maybe you're wrong, and you're just being a massive dick right now while this woman is spilling her guts to you about her very difficult marriage. Right? Because it could have gone either way at that point. Yeah. It was like, all right.
She's talking about her kids, her lip was quivering. It felt legit.
It seemed real. She's not that great of an actress, like it did seem authentic, and Edge was kind of like, yeah, whatever, shut up. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And Maurice is like, would you talk to your wife this way, Edge? Like, what is the matter with you? And I was watching it kind of like, Edge, you could be a little nicer to Maurice. Like, you don't have to completely dismiss her. She's kind of believable here. But then, of course, Edge is like, I don't believe you, and I want Miz to come out right now, and come face me, Miz. And then Miz's music hits, and then Miz is behind Edge. But Edge sees him coming and attacks him and fights back. But then Maurice hits Edge with something, a bag or something. I don't know what she hit him with.
I think it was like a purse, but she barely
touched him.
Yeah.
But then Edge turned around after he was hit with that object, and Maurice slapped Edge in the face, which allowed Miz to attack Edge and hit his skull-crushing finale to leave Edge laying. And then, in case we weren't sure, Miz and Maurice then kiss several times in the ring to celebrate their genius plan coming together, and they have left Edge down and beaten up. And they kiss several times, and they really let it linger, I think, to make sure that the audience knew that, yes, Maurice may have slapped Miz and said some mean things about him tonight, but this was all a big plan, and Miz and Maurice are all good and together, and it's fine.
Did they have to let it linger? Did they have to?
They had to.
But, and I also think I noticed, too, is that all the people in that Mizanin family, they're all MM. Like, assuming Maurice took Mike's last name.
Okay.
Because, like, both their kids are, like, M named Madison and something else.
Monroe.
Yeah, so it's all MMs. What's up with that?
I don't know. They're big fans of Eminem, Marshall Mathers, or maybe Eminem Candies.
Mickey Mouse?
Or maybe John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, or Johnny Nitro, Melina, and Joey Mercury, the Eminem tag team.
It's just funny. They all have the same initials.
They had a good theme song.
If they get monogram clothes, you can get it for the whole family. It's all the same.
MM for everything, right?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're wearing my MM rope. This is my MM rope.
Maybe they're big Rick Ross fans. Maybach Music. That's his record label, I think. Double M, we rich forever.
Is he still around?
Rick Ross is still around.
Surprisingly.
He's still alive. He's lost a considerable amount of weight, probably since the last time you saw him. And he's still rapping. He's still rapping. Heard him on songs recently. I think he was on the new Drake album or something. He's around. Rick Ross is still alive. Rest in peace, Rick Ross.
Eventually.
So that was Raw. I think that's everything. I think we've done the whole damn Raw thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Maurice was good tonight. Don't care to see Miz versus Edge at day one, but, it's going to happen. AJ Styles versus Omos next week on Raw should be interesting. Randy versus Otis. I really like this new Otis push. Hopefully he beats Randy next week, although not holding my breath for that. Finn Balor versus Austin Theory, whatever. And then Damian Priest defending the U.S. title against Dolph Ziggler. Should be good. Should be good. Good for Dolph Ziggler getting a big match. And what's WWE Day 1? What are the matches we have here for the pay-per-view on January 1st? Big E versus Seth versus Kevin versus Bobby in a fatal four-way for the WWE title. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. How many times are you going to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar before we die, you think? How many more matches do we have to see?
I feel like Brock Lesnar, judging by his attire this week, should change his name to Brock Godwin.
Yeah, he really looks like a Godwin in those overalls, right? Yeah. I like Godwin Brock. Does Brock have a slop bucket? The Usos versus the New Day for the tag team titles, because, of course, Xavier Woods won the King of the Ring, so why not put him right back where he's always been in a tag team wrestling for the Smackdown titles against the Usos. Just keep doing the same shit over and over again with Xavier Woods. It'll probably work. Edge versus Miz in a singles match, and Becky Lynch defending the Raw Women's title against Liv Morgan, which, fuck. And Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss.
This is shaping up to be quite a shit show.
Wow. This is going to be bad. And we will be on right after the day one. We'll watch day one together.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll be on right after day one to recap the action.
It's at night, eh?
Yeah.
It's not a daytime pay-per-view?
No. Oof. Ouch.
Marron.
These are bad.
Yeah,
These are bad days.
Match.
Becky Liv, Edge Miz. Like, how good could Edge Miz really be? Usos New Day, like, yeah, that'll be good, but I've seen it a billion times. The four-way, I feel like we've seen already in a variety of different ways. Like, I know we haven't, but I've seen Kevin and Bobby and Seth and E wrestle each other in so many variety of different
Braun
ways.
Strowman was maybe in a with Seth and Kevin and like someone else, like Roman maybe.
That's it. Like, I've seen them wrestle in so many different ways. Like, Becky and Liv, Drew versus Madcap, like, oh my god.
Not even Corbin.
I mean, Roman versus Brock, I guess, has the ability to be the match of the night, but at this point, I've seen it so many times, and Roman is so fucking boring. Like, it's the same thing every week with Roman Reigns. He's disappointed by Paul Heyman. He's disappointed by the Usos. He's not worried about Brock Lesnar. He wants to be acknowledged. He's ahead of the table, and and it's slow, and it just nothing ever happens. And then him and Brock, like, man, they've main evented Manias together. They main evented countless pay-per-views. They main evented the show 2 months ago in Saudi Arabia against each other. And now they're doing it again. We're doing the fucking match. Like,
when's it going to be over?
Right. Just going through the motions here, WWE. Just going through the motions. I've heard they had trouble selling tickets for WrestleMania, too. They're struggling.
No shit.
I mean, no shit. They can't sell out a 100,000-seat stadium 2 nights in a row. Like, god damn, man.
Drew McIntyre versus Roman versus Brock.
I mean, what possibly could they give us? What match could the WWE give you where you'd say, shit, we need to get our ass to Dallas, Texas in April for WrestleMania? Like, what could they possibly...
No legends?
Whatever. What is possible that the WWE could pull out of their back pocket? Like realistically, what could they actually do for WrestleMania that would make you say, God damn, I need to go there. I need to see that.
That's a hard one because, like, even, like, something unexpected, you know, like Triple H for some reason is healthy enough to wrestle, which doesn't make, or The Rock, or even Chris Jericho for some reason doing a jump back, or any of those isn't enough to really...
It's not even possible. Like, The Rock, I'd say, is out of the question.
Yeah.
And Jericho, I mean, come on.
And Triple H won't get cleared.
No.
And shouldn't.
Forget it.
So, you know, like, there's nothing.
No, I know. There's nothing.
You know, like, there's no legends and, like, matchups for active roster guys. Like, there's no guys who have been, like, kept separate that you're like, man, I want to see these guys clash.
No.
Like, there's no one.
They don't have a first. They don't have a first time ever for this. They have nothing.
Or just like, let's go, you know? Like, they wrestled once when they were, like, coming up, and now let's see them, you know, when they're, like, fully fledged superstars.
No.
You know, like...
There's nothing. There's nothing they could really do to sell Mania as a big deal this year. There's nothing they could do.
Not Undertaker.
I mean, their biggest match is Brock and Roman, and they're going to do it again, and we've seen it 1,000,000 times. What else can you do? Can you bring Cena back? Can you bring Taker back for something? And even then, what have they not done?
Yeah.
Except really work each other in a meaningful way, but that's not going to happen at this point. Like, if you're going to bring back a Cena or, the biggest match that they could possibly get right now is Rock Roman. Like, if they are dreaming and Dwayne is available, yes, of course. Of course.
But even then, I'm not looking forward to it.
Not the match in the ring.
I don't want to travel to see it.
No, I wouldn't travel to see it. I think, honestly, Doug is saying the best they have is Charlotte Becky. Like, Charlotte Becky is a big match.
I mean...
But I don't know if that sells Mania and gets people... Like, I don't know if that moves the needle. Roman Reigns, we all know, doesn't move the needle. He's not moving shit.
And, like, no one thinks Ronda Rousey's ever coming back to wrestling.
I don't think so. But that would be a needle mover. Ronda Rousey is a legitimate star who could come back and...
Because we never had that full closure with her. She kind of, like, got pinned by Becky and then left. So we're missing a bit of, like, extra time with her.
Yeah.
So there's that. But, that's a reach.
The women's division has more players that could make things interesting than the men's division. The men's side of WWE right now is pretty damn weak. The women's division has a wealth of talent.
Yeah.
You not only have Becky and Charlotte at the top of their respective brands. Charlotte Flair has Sasha Banks and who else does she have over on SmackDown? Toni Storm. Like, she's got some decent competition. Becky Lynch, she's got Bianca Belair, she's got Rhea Ripley, forget about Liv Morgan and whatever, But you also have Asuka and Bayley, who are probably going to come back at the Rumble, if I were to guess.
Becky's an interesting matchup.
Asuka, Bayley, Becky, Charlotte, Sasha. There's some shit you could do there. You do the 4 horsewomen in a fatal 4-way for all the gold. That's money.
And you have them in promos, where they really kind of shoot on each other.
Yeah.
And talk about their careers, and it has meaning.
And they all have their own perspective on the other people. Bayley, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, 4-way for the unified championship. That's a main event for WrestleMania. To me, with their current people, with what they have available, that's probably the biggest thing that they could do at WrestleMania. But that's for me, and I don't know if the general public seeing, Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky against each other, does that sell an extra 50, 60,000 tickets? Does that get people to book a flight? Especially now with COVID cases rising, like who knows if Mania will even have fans? Do you want to make that commitment to travel, not knowing what the world will look like at the beginning of April? 2 nights of WrestleMania in a big stadium that's hard to get into
and leave
and hard to get out of, and then you're doing it 2 nights in a row. And maybe are you going to Raw? Are you going to the Hall of Fame? How much is all of this costing you?
There's NXT.
How much is all this costing you? And then what are you really getting when you show up for WrestleMania, right? And apparently they're doing a deal where you buy 3, you get 1 free for WrestleMania. They're doing that already. Freebies.
That's not good. That's desperation.
Yeah.
And
again, if you had a hot world champion at the top of your card, if you had a legitimate number 1 guy that you've spent years, the past 5-6 years building, if you had a legitimate number 1 guy, you might not have so much trouble selling out a stadium. If you had a legitimate number 1 guy. But they don't have that. They have Roman Reigns, who's been artificially propped up by their company, and then, say whatever you want about him. He may be great, and he may have the look, and you may love his promos and his ring work, but he's not drawing like a megastar, Cena, Austin, Rock, a lot of these guys sold more tickets than Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is not selling those tickets. I pulled it up. There's a Smackdown coming up in a month in Nashville or something. He sold under 3,000 tickets for that thing.
That's not good.
Can you imagine Stone Cold Steve Austin coming to town in 99 and they're selling under 3,000 tickets for something? Like, it wouldn't happen. You remember when Raw, we used to come to town and they would have like 20,000 tickets and they would sell out like the day they went on sale?
Yeah,
imagine the WWE still living like that. It's not that world,
No, that was like a different time.
Yeah, definitely a different time, and business is down now. But
also it's the failure, I think, of
to build stars.
Cena era, and currently the Roman era.
Yeah.
Of sacrificing everybody for this one guy.
It's a continuation.
Because when you need those guys to come back for those nostalgia runs to build up your new stars, you're not going to have them. Like, if they brought, if they built up like Rob Van Dam more, even Rey Mysterio a little bit more.
If they would have protected Kurt Angle and kept him around. Yeah. There's definitely ways that they could have built guys around Cena and elevated guys around Cena. And you look at Cena and his career and who are his big feuds? Guys that were established prior to him becoming a star. Edge,
Michaels,
Triple H.
Just Randy was his contemporary.
And, of course, The Rock.
Yeah.
But the major feuds for John Cena were guys that were established before Cena to get Cena over. And, guys that really came up under Cena and became stars under Cena. Who did Cena make? And that's, again, you got to look at a world champion. Like, who did they make? Who did they elevate? Did Cena elevate anybody?
I mean, CM Punk became a different superstar after his feud with John Cena.
That's true. Punk, maybe he may have made Punk.
And Punk is
he may have helped.
With a different
he
company.
may have helped make Edge too, because Edge was kind of not a world champion until he beat Cena for the belt. So you could give some, but Edge was already a star established before.
And Punk, had a loyal following, but he wasn't considered a star on the card.
And I don't think Roman Reigns has made anybody into a star. Who has Roman elevated?
Nobody.
Yeah. Even Triple H, you look at him, he made Randy Orton and Batista. He made those guys. You can't deny that he made those guys. Certain people are made, like Hulk Hogan. He helped make Ultimate Warrior. He helped make, to a certain extent, Randy Savage.
Yeah.
He helped legitimize those guys. And those are legit stars in the history of the business, Stone Cold helped legitimize Mankind. He helped legitimize The Rock. Triple H. Like, all these guys, they got wins over Austin. They wrestled matches with Austin, and Austin made them bigger stars. They all became bigger stars because of Steve Austin. Same with Hogan, but Cena, not as much. And Roman,
it was also the way the business operated at that point too. It's just like Chris Masters, if they pushed him correctly, and like kept him, like
they could have done something
if they gave him some accolades.
Well, that's it. There was a time when they tried to build the next star and build the next generation,
Carlito.
And it was like a 5-year for this guy. But then in the next 5 years, we got to get somebody else going. We got to keep it moving. But right now, when they're trying to build Roman Reigns into this mega star, who do they keep going back to? Who have been Roman's big feuds? Have been Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and now everybody's hoping for The Rock. Like, we're all, Roman isn't having his big matches and big feuds with his contemporaries. He's having them with guys that started in 2002 or in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, he's wrestling Brock and Taker, and Cena and The Rock. Like, those are the ones that, like, those are the big marquee matches for Roman. And it's a little bit weird that there are no current guys that you could say, Seth and Roman. Like, could Seth and Roman really sell out a WrestleMania? Is that really a big match that people are dying to see? Especially given their current gimmicks with both of them as heels. Like, I don't know. It's disappointing that the WWE, it's not Roman's fault that no stars have been built around him. It's just the WWE's focus on this guy has hurt the rest of their company. The fact that they do everything out of desperation to make him this number one untouchable guy, and then you have everybody else around him as just kind of bit players. Mm-hmm. Well, no shit, you don't have a quality opponent for him because you've told us that they're all bit players. The only guy who's legitimate is Brock Lesnar. So you wheel him out every couple of months to wrestle Roman because you got nothing else. Like, that's the problem. They haven't established anybody that could legitimately beat Roman that you believe has a shot in hell. Drew McIntyre? I mean, come on. If Drew wrestled Roman tomorrow, you really think Drew would beat Roman? Like, it's just, Drew has, he was up, but then he was back down and lost a few matches. Now he's trying to rebuild him over on Smackdown, and I feel like they're trying to build him up for Roman, but wrestling Madcap Moss at day one, like, that's not a great start.
No.
Doesn't impress you. Doesn't say, oh shit, he just beat Madcap Moss. There's no stopping him now.
It's like a sports team that trades all their like first round picks for like players whose like contracts will expire at the end of the year and are gone. And then they're like, hey, where's our prospects?
They're gone.
Yeah, just to
you traded them all,
and they're all at Team AEW.
Yeah, where's our prospects? Well, that guy who was the face, the heart and soul of your developmental system for the past 3-4 years. Yeah, you let him go to AEW. Remember that Adam Cole Bebe guy who was your champion? Who you built over and over again, who you build as like your top guy in NXT, your developmental program, the guy that's supposed to be up next, all those guys, the Garganos, the Kyle O'Reillys, the Adam Coles, the Bobby Fishes, all these guys that you have been building to, you would think, take over, fucking forget about Killer Cross and that guy who was NXT champion. Like,
Bronson
so many of these guys are either fired or left the company. All these guys are trying to make into something are now gone.
And then, where's Shinsuke now?
Shinsuke is the Intercontinental Champion. Right. He'll probably drop the Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown on Friday, although SmackDown spoilers are probably out, right?
It's a pre-tape.
Well, yeah, because Christmas Eve. Let's see. Oh, no, there's no... they didn't have the match yet. I could give you spoilers for SmackDown, but I'm not going to. But there was like a Sami Zayn invitational gauntlet match with a bunch of guys, and if Sami or whoever won got the... Thank you, guys. whoever won got the shot at Shinsuke. So Shinsuke's the Intercontinental Champion. And, yeah, they'll do that match down the road. Probably. Thank you, Doug Hepburn, dropping a super chat. He says, great wrestling talk tonight, guys. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Angelo, dropping a super chat as well. Angelo and Doug tied for the lead. I like it. Peace. We're having peace. Holiday season. Holiday season, baby. Having that peace.
That's right.
And that's about it for me, I think. I think we're done. I think I'm done here. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys. Doug, I will be sending some stuff over to you in the mail real soon. I appreciate you, Doug. Doug finding some cool action figures for me, finding that Kevin Nash, that Billy Gunn. And now, Doug, okay, now we're looking for something else, okay? We're looking for...
Your mission.
We have a new mission, Doug, all right? I'm going to show you what we're looking for. Let's see. Here we go. These sets are starting to show up in Canada, Doug, and this is what we're looking for. We want all of them. We want all 4 of these bad boys.
Terry.
There's a Hulk Hogan, baby. We want Hogan. Apparently, these are starting to show up in Canada in some Toys R Us locations, Doug. They showed up in British Columbia, so they're going to show up here in Ontario. They might show up in Quebec, too. I don't know, but these are the 4 we need, Doug. Let's find these, baby, and let's win. We want Hogan, we want Bailey, and look at this.
Oh.
It's a Bret Hart. Oh my God! Look how nice that Bret is. And there's a
Bearcat.
There's a Keith Lee too, who's fired, so we want him. But we want that Bret real bad. Look at that.
Survivor Series Bret.
Oh, Survivor Series Bret. Are you kidding me?
Pink chair. You never had a pink chair.
No, and the Hogan too. We need the Hogan. We need the Bailey.
Hogan's
we need
got a
Keith
towel?
Lee. We need all 4 of these
He's got a
Survivor
towel.
Series figures. So, Doug, if you encounter these, buy them up. Send them to me. I'll send you something. Doug is gonna get a Britt Baker DMD. He's sending me a Kevin Nash and a Billy Gunn, and I'm gonna send him a Britt Baker and this bad boy over here. He's getting one of these. He's getting one of these. These are hard to find, but I'm sending one to my boy Doug out in Kingston. This is coming to you, Doug. It's Bret the Hitman Hart. I'm the best wrestler in the world.
Screw you, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, you're a piece of shit wrestler. You couldn't lace my boots. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Doug, my man, thank you. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, everybody watching. We appreciate you. I'll be back on Wednesday here with the big man, Johnny North. We will be off on Friday. We're usually on Fridays after SmackDown, but it's Christmas Eve. I'm not going to be watching SmackDown on Christmas Eve. I'm going to be spending some time with the family, and then, again, New Year's Eve we won't be on either because it's New Year's Eve and we're not doing a show for the next 2 Friday nights. But, yes, Doug, I know that big sexy figure comes with a sweet tee. It's an Outsiders Elite WWE Kevin Nash. Let's see if I can find this for you. It's an Outsiders NWO t-shirt.
Look, everyone, it's Santa!
Oh, my God, it's beautiful. Oh, Angelo dropping a super chat. $1 super chat to take the super chat lead there.
Oh, yeah. They sell that shit, don't they?
I don't know. I think they do. But that's like the old school. Here, I'll show you. There's the old school, like,
96.
Outsiders shirt here. Can I get a picture of it? Look at that. That's a beauty. Oh, baby. Look at that. NWO with that nice Outsider shirt. Hall and Nash. That's that figure that Doug got for me. So thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. Very happy. And you'll fit in. He's going to fit real nicely with this brother over here.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Survey time.
One second, you can't see. He's going to fit in real nice with his brother, old Ray's. Oh, yeah, baby.
Also hairy.
Oh, baby. I can't wait to get that Nash so I can get my Outsiders together. NWO Elite Rays. I'm going to get the Nash. Hey, yo.
You have a Hollywood?
What do I have? Oh, look at this. This is Hollywood, baby. That's a WCW Hollywood Hogan. Look at that. That's sweet. With a big boys play.
And with like the new, with the more recent WCW logo, so like Hogan wasn't around for like very long during that like I think Bash at the Beach was his last appearance when he had that promo.
That's actually
with
my
Vince Russo.
It's actually my only Hollywood Hogan figure. Look, I also got the... Oh, that's Jay Lethal. Hold on. I got the Sting from that series. Where's the Stinger? There he is. The Stinger from that series is beautiful, too. It's a WCW Stinger.
The coat.
Look at that Crow Sting. That's a WCW original. It's from the 90s. Or maybe early 2000s. Look at that Stinger, baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, although
That's
it's got
nice.
the old school logo. So maybe, yeah. Different series than the Hogan.
Oh, it might be.
Is there a year on the back?
Oh, yeah, these are Power Slam, and these are Smash and Slam.
Yeah.
So this year is...
I want to say 98?
2001 for the Stinger.
Oh, really?
And 2001 for this, too. Both 2001.
Huh. End of an era.
Look at that. Angelo says, awesome collection you got there, Dave. You have no idea, Angelo. It's a ridiculous collection. What do I have here? Who's this? Oh, Barry Windham, baby. Look at that, Barry Windham. Classic superstars. We got a lot of stuff. All right? Because wrestling is life over here. Pro wrestling for life. When you're NWO, you're NWO for life. I'll see you Wednesday after Dynamite.